Hello there. Welcome. Pull up a chair, make yourself comfortable. Let's have a little heart-to-heart, shall we? Now, I want you to think for a moment. Have you ever felt that pang of, disrespect? Not necessarily overt rudeness, but that subtle feeling of being unheard, dismissed, maybe even taken for granted, especially by the people you've poured your heart and soul into your children. It's a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? Especially when you've dedicated your life to raising them, nurturing them, and supporting them through thick and thin. It's almost like you expect a certain level of regard, a natural outflowing of the love and care you've so freely given. And when that feels missing, it stings, and believe me, you're not alone. This is something that so many parents experience, particularly as their children become adults and start navigating their own lives. Suddenly, the power dynamic shifts, the dependence lessens, and sometimes, unfortunately, respect seems to wane alongside it. You might find yourself being interrupted mid-sentence, your opinions brushed aside, or your advice completely ignored. Perhaps they roll their eyes when you bring up a topic, or they simply don't make the time to connect with you like they used to. It leaves you feeling, invisible. And that's a feeling no parent should ever have to endure, especially during these golden years. This feeling, this erosion of respect, it can creep in slowly, like a slow leak that eventually empties the well. It starts with small things, almost imperceptible. A forgotten birthday call, a canceled visit, a dismissive comment, and before you know it, you're left wondering, where did I go wrong? How did we get here? You might even start questioning your own worth, your own value within the family. You start to feel like a burden rather than a respected elder, a source of wisdom and experience. And that, my friends, is a dangerous path to tread, because feeling disrespected can erode your self-esteem, impact your mental well-being, and even affect your physical health. That's why we're here today, because you deserve to be treated with the respect you've earned. You deserve to be heard, valued, and appreciated. And more importantly, you deserve to feel good about yourself and your role in your family. This isn't about demanding subservience or clinging to outdated notions of authority. It's about fostering healthy, reciprocal relationships built on mutual understanding and genuine respect. It's about creating a family dynamic where everyone feels valued and heard, regardless of age or status. In this video, we're going to explore 6 powerful ways to regain respect from your adult children. 6 strategies that you can implement today to shift the dynamic and create a more harmonious and fulfilling relationship. These aren't quick fixes or magic solutions. They require effort, patience, and a willingness to examine your own behavior as well. But I promise you, the rewards are well worth the effort. A family where love and respect flow freely is a source of immense joy and strength, especially as we navigate the challenges of later life. So let's dive in, shall we? First, let's talk about understanding their perspective. This might seem counterintuitive when you're feeling disrespected. After all, shouldn't they be understanding your perspective? But trust me on this one. Often, disrespect stems from a lack of understanding, a disconnect between your expectations and their reality. Think about it. Your adult children are navigating a completely different world than you did at their age. They're facing different pressures, different challenges, and different expectations. They're juggling careers, families, financial responsibilities, and social pressures that may be vastly different from what you experienced. Try to put yourself in their shoes. What are their daily struggles? What are their hopes and dreams? What are their fears and anxieties? What are their priorities right now? Are they struggling with demanding jobs? Are they raising young children while trying to maintain a semblance of a social life? Are they facing financial pressures that you might not even be aware of? Sometimes, what appears as disrespect is simply a byproduct of being overwhelmed and stressed. They might not be intentionally trying to hurt you or dismiss you. They might just be struggling to keep their heads above water. Think about it this way. Imagine you're trying to teach someone how to use a new smartphone. If you just start rattling off instructions without understanding their level of tech knowledge, you're going to frustrate both of you. But if you take the time to understand their current understanding, their struggles and their fears, you can tailor your approach and make the learning process much smoother and more effective. The same principle applies to your relationship with your adult children. So how do you gain this understanding? The key is active listening and genuine curiosity. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of saying, "Why don't you ever call?" try saying, "I've been missing our chats lately. How have you been? What's been keeping you busy?" Instead of criticizing their life choices, try asking, "Tell me more about why you chose this career path. What do you enjoy about it?" Show a genuine interest in their lives, their passions, and their struggles. Listen attentively without interrupting or judging. And most importantly, try to resist the urge to offer unsolicited advice. Sometimes, all they need is a listening ear and a safe space to vent their frustrations. Remember, understanding doesn't necessarily mean agreeing. You can still disagree with their choices while respecting their right to make them. The goal is to bridge the gap and create a space for empathy and understanding. By demonstrating a genuine interest in their lives and their perspectives, you'll be paving the way for a more respectful and understanding relationship. This builds a bridge of empathy. All right, let's move on to the second powerful way to regain respect: setting healthy boundaries. This is crucial, and it's often overlooked. You see, sometimes disrespect arises because boundaries haven't been clearly defined or consistently enforced. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and someone else begins. They protect your time, your energy, your emotions, and your personal space. They're essential for maintaining healthy relationships and preventing resentment and burnout. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a beautiful garden. If you don't put up a fence, the rabbits and deer will come in and eat all your flowers. Similarly, if you don't set boundaries with your adult children, they might unknowingly trample on your needs and expectations. Perhaps they constantly call you at inconvenient times, expecting you to drop everything and cater to their needs. Or maybe they repeatedly ask for financial assistance, even though you've already made it clear that you're on a fixed income. Or perhaps they make insensitive comments about your age or your lifestyle choices, leaving you feeling hurt and diminished. Setting boundaries isn't about being selfish or controlling. It's about protecting your well-being and ensuring that your needs are met. It's about teaching your children how to treat you with respect and consideration. And it's about creating a more balanced and sustainable relationship where everyone feels valued and respected. So, how do you set healthy boundaries? The first step is to identify your limits. What are you willing to do and what are you not willing to do? What are your non-negotiables? What behaviors are you no longer willing to tolerate? Be specific and honest with yourself. Write it down if you need to. Once you've identified your limits, you need to communicate them clearly and assertively to your children. Use I statements to express your feelings and needs without blaming or accusing. For example, instead of saying, "You're always calling me at the wrong time," try saying, "I appreciate you calling, but I'm often busy in the evenings. Would it be possible to call me earlier in the day?" Instead of saying, "You never appreciate anything I do for you," try saying, "I feel unappreciated when I offer to help and it's not acknowledged. I need to feel like my efforts are valued." Be firm but respectful in your communication. Don't apologize for setting boundaries. You have a right to protect your well-being, and be prepared for pushback. Your children might not be used to you setting boundaries and they might resist at first. They might try to guilt you or manipulate you into giving in, but stand your ground. Consistency is key. Once you've set a boundary, stick to it. Don't waver or make exceptions unless there's a very good reason. Enforcing boundaries can be challenging, but it's essential. If your children violate your boundaries, calmly and firmly remind them of your limits. If they continue to disrespect your boundaries, you might need to distance yourself from them temporarily. This doesn't mean cutting them off completely. It simply means creating some space for yourself and allowing them to experience the consequences of their actions. Remember, setting healthy boundaries is an act of self-respect. It sends a clear message to your children that you value yourself and your well-being, and it teaches them how to treat you with the respect you deserve. Now that we've established the importance of understanding their perspective and setting healthy boundaries, let's move on to the next powerful strategy. Moving right along, let's delve into our third powerful strategy: communicating your needs directly and clearly. This might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how often we beat around the bush, hoping our children will magically understand what we want or need without us having to actually say it. We drop hints, we make subtle suggestions, we sigh dramatically, all in the hopes that they'll pick up on our unspoken desires. And when they don't, we feel frustrated, resentful, and, well, disrespected. But the truth is, your adult children are not mind readers. They're busy with their own lives, their own worries, and their own challenges. They might not even realize that you have unmet needs or expectations. Think about it. How often do you assume that your children know what you want or need, simply because you're their parent? How often do you expect them to anticipate your needs based on your past relationship or your shared history? And how often are you disappointed when they fail to meet those unspoken expectations? The problem with indirect communication is that it's often misinterpreted. Your hints might be too subtle, your suggestions too vague, or your sighs too ambiguous. Your children might not even notice them, or they might misinterpret them completely. And when that happens, you're left feeling unheard, unseen, and disrespected. Direct and clear communication, on the other hand, leaves no room for ambiguity. It involves stating your needs and expectations clearly, concisely, and respectfully. It means saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It means avoiding hints, suggestions, and dramatic sighs, and instead expressing your needs in a straightforward and assertive manner. For example, instead of saying, "It would be nice if someone would visit me more often," try saying, "I've been feeling lonely lately, and I would really appreciate it if you could visit me once a week." Instead of saying, "I'm always the one hosting family gatherings," try saying, "I love hosting family gatherings, but it's becoming too much for me to handle alone. I would appreciate it if someone else could host the next one." Instead of saying, "I wish someone would help me with the yard work," try saying, "I'm having trouble keeping up with the yard work and I would really appreciate some help. Could you spare a few hours on the weekend?" When communicating your needs, be specific and concrete. Don't just say, "I need more help." Specify what kind of help you need, how often you need it, and when you need it. And be realistic in your expectations. Don't expect your children to drop everything and cater to your every whim. Be willing to compromise and negotiate. Remember, communication is a two-way street. Also, be mindful of your tone of voice and your body language. Even the clearest message can be undermined by a negative tone or a hostile body language. Speak calmly and respectfully. Maintain eye contact and avoid crossing your arms or rolling your eyes. Communicating your needs directly and clearly can feel vulnerable, especially if you're used to being the caregiver. But it's essential for creating healthy and respectful relationships. It empowers you to take control of your own well-being and ensures that your needs are being met. And it teaches your children how to communicate with you in a clear and respectful manner. It sets a precedent. Now, let's transition smoothly to our fourth strategy, which is all about focusing on what you can control In any relationship, especially family relationships, there are things you can control and things you can't. You can control your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. You can control your own behavior, your own words, and your own reactions. But you can't control your children's thoughts, feelings, or actions. You can't control their behavior, their words, or their reactions. And trying to control things that are outside of your control is a recipe for frustration, resentment, and, you guessed it, disrespect. Think about it. How much time and energy do you spend trying to change your children's behavior? How often do you nag them, criticize them, or try to manipulate them into doing what you want them to do? And how often does it actually work? Probably not very often. In fact, it often backfires, leading to more resistance, more conflict, and more disrespect. The truth is, the more you try to control your children, the more they'll resist. They're adults now, and they have a right to make their own choices, even if you don't agree with them. And the more you try to control them, the more likely they are to resent you and disrespect you. So, what can you do instead? Focus on what you can control. Focus on your own behavior, your own words, and your own reactions. Focus on being the best version of yourself that you can be. Focus on setting healthy boundaries, communicating your needs clearly, and practicing self-care. For example, instead of trying to control your children's spending habits, focus on managing your own finances and setting a good example. Instead of trying to control their career choices, focus on supporting their dreams and aspirations, even if they're different from your own. Instead of trying to control their relationships, focus on maintaining healthy relationships of your own. When you focus on what you can control, you empower yourself and you create a more positive and respectful environment. You model healthy behavior, and you give your children the space to make their own choices and learn from their own mistakes. And surprisingly, often the more you let go of control, the more likely your children are to respect you and appreciate you for who you are. It's like a gardener focusing on nurturing the soil and providing the right conditions for growth, rather than trying to force the plant to bloom. You can't force respect, but you can create an environment where it's more likely to flourish. Focusing on what you can control is an act of self-empowerment. It allows you to let go of the things that are causing you stress and anxiety, and to focus on the things that you can actually change. And it creates a more peaceful and respectful relationship with your adult children. This shift in focus changes everything. Now that we've covered the importance of communicating your needs directly and clearly, and focusing on what you can control, let's move on to our fifth strategy. So, we've reached strategy number 5, demonstrating respect to receive respect. This one might seem a little backwards. After all, you're the parent. Shouldn't your children be the ones demonstrating respect to you? Well, yes, ideally. But respect is a two-way street, and often the best way to receive respect is to give it first. Think of it like a mirror. What you put out there is often reflected back to you. If you consistently demonstrate respect towards your children, they're more likely to reciprocate. Now, what does demonstrating respect actually look like? It means valuing their opinions, even if you don't agree with them. It means listening attentively when they're talking, without interrupting or judging. It means acknowledging their feelings, even if you don't understand them. It means respecting their boundaries and their choices, even if you wouldn't make the same ones yourself. It means avoiding criticism, judgment, and nagging. And it means treating them like the adults they are, not like the children they once were. Think about it. How often do you find yourself offering unsolicited advice, even when your children haven't asked for it? How often do you criticize their life choices, their parenting skills, or their relationships? How often do you nag them about things that you think they should be doing differently? These behaviors, even if they are well-intentioned, can come across as disrespectful and condescending. They send the message that you don't trust your children to make their own decisions, that you don't value their opinions, and that you don't respect their autonomy. And when that happens, they're likely to respond with, well, disrespect. Instead of offering unsolicited advice, try asking them if they'd like your input. Instead of criticizing their life choices, try focusing on the positive aspects of their lives and celebrating their accomplishments. Instead of nagging them about things that you think they should be doing differently, try focusing on building a positive and supportive relationship. For example, instead of saying, "You're raising your children all wrong," try saying, "I admire your dedication to your children. You're doing a great job." Instead of saying, "You should get a better job," try saying, "I'm proud of your hard work and dedication. I know you'll find the right opportunity." Instead of saying, "You never visit me," try saying, "I miss spending time with you. Let's make a plan to get together soon." Demonstrating respect also means acknowledging their strengths and their accomplishments. Let them know that you're proud of them, that you admire them, and that you value their contributions to the family. Celebrate their successes, both big and small. And let them know that you appreciate them for who they are, not for who you want them to be. It's about truly seeing them as adults with their own lives, their own dreams, and their own challenges. It's about treating them with the same level of respect and consideration that you would treat any other adult. And surprisingly, when you start demonstrating respect, you'll often find that it's reciprocated. Your children will start to value your opinions, listen to your advice, and treat you with the respect you deserve. Respect begets respect. And finally, we come to our sixth and perhaps most important strategy: practicing self-care and finding fulfillment outside of your children. This might seem unrelated to regaining respect, but trust me, it's crucial. Often, disrespect arises because we've become too dependent on our children for our happiness and fulfillment. We've made them the center of our universe, and we expect them to fill all of our emotional needs. And when they fail to do so, we feel disappointed, resentful, and, well, disrespected. But the truth is, your children are not responsible for your happiness. They have their own lives to live, their own dreams to pursue, and their own responsibilities to fulfill. And expecting them to be your sole source of happiness is not only unfair to them, it's also unsustainable for you. When you're overly dependent on your children, you're more likely to be needy, demanding, and controlling. You're more likely to nag them, criticize them, and try to manipulate them into doing what you want them to do. And you're more likely to feel hurt and rejected when they don't meet your expectations. All of this can lead to tension, conflict, and, you guessed it, disrespect. So, what can you do instead? Focus on practicing self-care and finding fulfillment outside of your children. This means taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental health. It means pursuing your passions, hobbies, and interests. It means connecting with friends and family. And it means finding meaning and purpose in your life, independent of your children. Think about it. What are your passions? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What brings you joy and fulfillment? What makes you feel alive and energized? If you're not sure, take some time to explore different activities and find what resonates with you. Join a book club, take a dance class, volunteer at a local charity, travel to new places, learn a new skill, or reconnect with old friends. The possibilities are endless. The key is to find activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, and to make time for them in your life. When you're practicing self-care and finding fulfillment outside of your children, you become a more well-rounded, interesting, and independent person. You have more to offer, more to talk about, and more to contribute to the family dynamic. You're less likely to be needy, demanding, and controlling, and you're more likely to be respected and admired by your children. It's about creating a life that is rich and fulfilling, regardless of what your children are doing. It's about investing in yourself and your own well-being. And surprisingly, often the more you focus on yourself, the more your children will be drawn to you and the more they will respect you. They see you thriving, independent and engaged, and they want to be a part of that. Remember, you are a valuable and worthwhile person, regardless of your relationship with your children. You have a lot to offer the world, and you deserve to live a life that is full of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. By practicing self-care and finding fulfillment outside of your children, you're not only improving your own well-being, you're also creating a more respectful and harmonious relationship with your family. So, let's recap quickly. We talked about 6 powerful ways to regain respect from your adult children: understanding their perspective, setting healthy boundaries, communicating your needs directly, focusing on what you can control, demonstrating respect, and practicing self-care. These aren't magic bullets and they require effort and patience. But I truly believe that by implementing these strategies, you can create a more respectful, loving, and fulfilling relationship with your adult children. And remember, you are not alone. Many parents experience similar challenges as their children grow older. Don't be afraid to reach out to friends, family, or a therapist for support. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. You've done your best and you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness. I hope this video has been helpful. If you found it valuable, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content on navigating life's challenges with grace and wisdom. And please, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you struggled with gaining respect from your adult children? What strategies have you found helpful? I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you are strong, you are resilient, and you deserve to be treated with respect. Embrace your golden years, focus on your own well-being, and create a life that is full of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. Here's to a happier, more respectful family life. Goodbye for now and take care.